I've watched people do everything right, save consistently, diversify, stay calm through every downturn, and still get blindsided in the last 5 years before retirement. Not because they made bad decisions, because the conditions changed and their plan didn't. I've had to rebuild my own assumptions too, and what I've found is that the standard advice is not bad, it's incomplete. Today, I'm going to show you 5 moves that actually protect a retirement plan when conditions get hard. But before I get into those 5 moves, you need to understand why they matter now, because this isn't just another market scare. The foundation underneath your retirement plan has fundamentally shifted. Here's what we're actually dealing with right now. Inflation running above what most retirement plans assumed. A job market showing signs of stress we haven't seen in over a decade. And a Federal Reserve that's essentially stuck. Every tool it has makes something else worse. They can lower interest rates to get the economy moving, but that tends to make inflation worse. They could raise rates to bring inflation under control, but then that slows growth and hurts the markets. This is what economists call stagflation. Inflation is high and the economy is weak, and the usual tactics don't work. You still have time to position, but that window is closing. Most retirement content will tell you that the biggest threat to your plan is the market or inflation. I'd say it's something else entirely, and I've watched it take down more financial plans than anything else I know. I know this personally because it almost happened to me, and I've watched it happen to countless friends and colleagues too. Running on empty for years, poor sleep, chronic stress, not moving enough, and then something tips. A cardiac event at 54, a mental health crisis nobody saw coming. Suddenly, the income funding the next 8 years of savings is just gone. Your ability to earn is your most valuable financial asset in the decade before retirement, and most people in their 50s are not investing in it. And the piece most people underestimate, healthcare costs in retirement are a real financial risk, not a footnote. A 65-year-old couple will spend over $300,000 on healthcare in retirement after Medicare. And if you retire early or lose your job before 65, bridging that gap can run $1,000 to $1,500 a month in premiums alone. Medical bankruptcy happens to people even with insurance. 3 specific things to do right now. First, treat preventive care like a budget line item. It's cheaper than treating a problem late. And second, take mental health as seriously as physical health. Chronic stress has real physiologic costs that show up years later. And third, know your coverage situation, what COBRA could cost you, where you'd land on ACA subsidies, and what bridging to Medicare actually looks like financially. The years between 55 and 65 are where healthcare costs do the most damage. I've put together a free healthcare guide for early retirees, and it walks through everything you need to know about your options. The link is below. Every other move on this list assumes that you're still in the game, and your health is what keeps you there. But there's another side of the equation that most people at this stage completely overlook, and it's one that can unravel everything else. The hiring market is under a level of stress we haven't seen in over a decade. For someone in their 30s, a job loss is painful, but recoverable. They've got time. For someone at age 52 or 55, a gap of 12 to 18 months can permanently alter their retirement plan, especially if it means drawing down savings early or losing employer health coverage. So 2 things you need to do. First, make yourself harder to cut. Be directly tied to revenue or cost reduction. People who survive layoffs are the ones whose absence has an immediate, visible cost to the business. And second, eliminate the single point of failure. If 100% of your income comes from one employer, that's concentration risk, the same kind you wouldn't accept in a portfolio. Even a small second income from another job or a side hustle creates a buffer, not because you need it now, because if things go sideways, you're not starting from zero. This is not about getting rich, it's risk management. The same logic you apply to your investments applied to your income. Protecting your income buys you time, but it only matters if you use it, and the opportunity to use it is shorter than most people think. The window you're in right now, still employed, still earning, is the most important savings period of your life. If income gets disrupted, it closes. The decisions you make about savings in the next 12 to 18 months carry more weight than the same decisions would have 3 years ago. There are 3 specific things to do. First, avoid large debt finance purchases right now. A new car, major renovation, or a big vacation on a credit card. If it can wait 12 months, let it wait. And second, if you're over 50, max your catch-up contributions to your 401k and IRA. The limits have increased. If you're not using them, you're leaving tax advantage space on the table at exactly the time you can least afford to. And third, if the market is down, Roth conversions cost less. You pay tax on a smaller number, and those assets grow tax-free from a lower base. If you've been considering this, talk to your advisor now. But saving more only works if what you've saved isn't quietly losing ground, and right now it might be. Cash is essential. It's your buffer. It's what keeps you from having to sell your investments at the wrong time. You want to have 3 to 6 months of living expenses in accessible savings. And if you're closer to retirement or your income feels uncertain, push that to 12 months. But here's the problem most people don't realize they have. It's not that they're holding too much in cash, it's where they're keeping it. If your savings account is paying 1% and inflation is running at 3 to 4%, you're losing purchasing power every month. The number in your account stays the same, but what it buys is smaller. It's a slow leak, and because the number never goes down, most people don't notice it. The 3 better options that pay more and keep your money accessible: a high-yield savings account, which works exactly like your regular savings account, FDIC insured and fully liquid, but pays significantly more; a money market account, typically pays above standard savings rates with the same liquidity; and finally, treasury bills. These are short-term government securities where you lend to the U.S. government for anywhere from a few weeks to a year and earn interest. They're among the safest place to park your money, and rates have recently been competitive with inflation. The move is simple. Find out what your cash is actually earning right now. If it's near zero, that's the first thing to fix. This next part is where traditional advice doesn't hold true anymore. Most people who think they're diversified are not, and it matters more in today's environment than ever before. If everything you own goes up and down together, you're not diversified. You're just owning the same risk in different packaging. Think of it like a farmer with 5 fields, all corn. If the price of corn collapses, it doesn't matter how many fields he has. Real diversification means owning things that don't all get hurt by the same conditions. U.S. stocks struggle when inflation is high and growth is low, which is exactly where we are. So what does hold up? Real assets, things with physical value. Gold is a classic example. And here's what's notable right now. Central banks around the world have been buying it at record levels. That's not panic, that's positioning. And next we have commodities. Think oil, natural gas, wheat, and copper, the raw materials that the world runs on. They broadly tend to perform better when inflation is supply driven, which it partly is now. When the cost of producing things goes up, the things themselves become more valuable. Real estate can be an inflation hedge over time, but high interest rates change the math on new purchases significantly. So run current numbers before buying anything. And international exposure matters. If the dollar weakens, a portfolio that's sitting in 100% US assets takes a relative hit. The question to sit with is, if the US economy struggles for the next 3 to 5 years, what in my portfolio would still be okay? If the answer is not much, that's the gap. Talk to your advisor, not about spreading across more US funds, but about diversifying across different types of assets entirely. Now here's the uncomfortable truth. Most retirement plans assume moderate inflation, markets that recover within 18 to 24 months, and a clear path to Medicare. Right now, all 3 of those assumptions are under pressure simultaneously. So ask yourself the harder question: does my plan survive if inflation is elevated for 3 years? Or if the market is flat for the first 2 years after I retire? Or if I lose my job 18 months before my target date? Find the single biggest assumption your plan rests on, the one thing that, if it's wrong, changes everything. And ask honestly, what's my plan if that doesn't hold? If you can't answer that, that's your most important next step. Not picking better stocks, not finding a higher yield savings account, knowing what breaks your plan, and building a version that doesn't. In my line of work, you almost never have the full picture. You make decisions with incomplete information. Prepare for the scenarios you can anticipate and stay calm to adapt when something unexpected arrives. I've had to apply the same thinking to my own financial life. It's never a straight line. Nobody knows exactly how this is going to play out, but the people who come through uncertain moments in the best shape aren't the ones who saw it coming. They're the ones with a plan built to handle uncertainty, whatever form it takes. We can't predict what's next, but we can prepare for it. The thing that sits underneath all of these moves, the mechanism that makes or breaks retirement plans in a volatile market, is sequence of returns risk. It's the single most underestimated threat for people in their 50s, and I break it down in detail in the next video here. I'll see you there.